These old hands of mine started shaking so badly, I nearly dropped the device right there on my kitchen floor. It was from my granddaughter, Rebecca, sweet, beautiful Rebecca, after 18 months of absolute deafening silence. "Grandma, can we have lunch this Saturday? Thank you so much." I must have read those words 100 times, my eyes filling with tears that made the letters blur and dance. How could 12 simple words suddenly illuminate all the darkness that had consumed my life? Since she decided I was no longer worthy of her love? But when I arrived at her house that Saturday, something happened that I never could have anticipated, something that would shake the very foundation of what I knew. My name is Margaret Hayes, I'm 70 years old, and exactly 18 months ago, my only granddaughter, helped raise after her mother, my daughter Catherine, passed away from cancer when Rebecca was just 9, decided to erase me from her existence. There was no explosive argument, no single moment I can point to and say, "That's when it all fell apart." It was gradual, like watching a flower wilt in slow motion. The phone calls became less frequent, then stopped altogether. The text messages went unanswered. The door that had always been open to me suddenly closed, and I found myself standing on the outside, looking in at a life I no longer recognized. The pain of losing someone who's still breathing, still walking this earth, but no longer knows you or pretends not to is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's a grief without closure, a wound that never quite heals because there's no funeral, no final goodbye, just an endless waiting for something that may never come. I spent countless sleepless nights in my small house in Savannah, sitting in Catherine's old rocking chair, trying to piece together where it all went wrong. Was it after Rebecca married that man, Vincent? Was it when I voiced my concerns about how quickly they were moving? How I barely knew him before they were standing at the altar? Or maybe it was that afternoon at the botanical gardens when I mentioned she looked exhausted, almost ill, and Vincent answered for her, his voice dripping with condescension, that perhaps I should focus on my own health instead of obsessing over hers. Now, staring at that message glowing on my phone screen, I felt like a woman who'd been wandering in the desert for months, suddenly spotting an oasis. I was desperate, parched for connection, not even questioning whether it might be a cruel mirage. The days crawling towards Saturday felt longer than all my 70 years combined. I changed my outfit 6 times that morning before settling on the lavender dress Rebecca had given me for my 68th birthday, back when we still celebrated such occasions together. I applied makeup with trembling hands, trying to hide the deep lines that grief and loneliness had carved into my face. My silver hair, which I used to wear in a neat bun, now hung thin and lifeless, but I did my best to make it presentable. I drove my old Toyota through the tree-lined streets of Charleston. Rebecca and Vincent had moved there 2 years ago, shortly after the wedding, arriving at their neighborhood at 11:45, 15 minutes before our agreed-upon meeting time. I couldn't risk being late, couldn't give her any reason to regret reaching out to me. Their house was in one of those pristine suburban developments where every lawn looks the same, every mailbox identical. I remembered when Rebecca first showed me the listing, how excited she'd been. Vincent had insisted on this particular neighborhood, this particular house. At the time, I thought he was just being particular about their first home together. Now looking back, I wonder if he was already building the cage. The front yard looked different from my last visit, which felt like a lifetime ago, more austere, less welcoming. The rose bushes Rebecca and I had planted together on a sunny spring afternoon were gone, replaced by stark, geometric hedges. I took a deep breath, checked my reflection one final time in the rearview mirror, and opened my car door. That's when something very strange happened. As I was walking up the driveway, I saw Dorothy, the elderly housekeeper who'd been working for Rebecca since they'd moved to Charleston, rushing toward me. Her face was tight with an expression I'd never seen before, a mixture of fear and urgency that made my heart skip a beat. She kept glancing back toward the house, as if checking to make sure she wasn't being watched. "Mrs. Hayes," she whispered urgently as she reached me, her voice trembling. "Don't go inside. Please, you need to leave, right now." I froze, my feet suddenly feeling like they were encased in concrete. "What? Dorothy, what's going on? Is Rebecca all right?" "It's not about her being all right, ma'am," Dorothy said, her eyes wide with genuine terror. "It's about you. Please, you have to trust me. It's not safe for you here." Before I could form another question, she glanced toward the house again and took a step back. "I have to go before they notice I'm out here. Please, Mrs. Hayes, go, just go." And with that, she hurried back toward the house, leaving me standing there in the driveway, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat, in my temples, everywhere. What on earth was happening? Why did Dorothy look so frightened? And why would my granddaughter, who hadn't spoken to me in a year and a half, suddenly invite me to lunch? I turned back toward my car as if in a trance, my body moving on autopilot while my mind tried desperately to make sense of Dorothy's warning. I got in, locked the doors with shaking hands, and started the engine. But I didn't drive away. Something deep inside me, maybe, the same instinct that had kept me alive through 70 years of life's surprises, told me to stay and observe. From where I was parked, I had a